This is him doing experiments with water. And remember, we're made up of water, right? And so when we're giving thanks to ourselves and to others, or looking in the mirror and saying, you fool, it's all, what is that creating within us? That inner space, that energetics, what is all of that creating? And so his work is so good at literally showing us an actualization of that.
Welcome to Energetics with Kim and Veronica, where we invite you to nourish the energy of your inner why, your inner healing, magic, prosperity, your curiosity, clarity, playfulness. Welcome home. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Energetics Podcast. This is Veronica, and I'm joined by my gorgeous partner, Kim. Hey, Kim.
Hello, Veronica. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for being here, whether it's your first time or your whatever time. Thank you. Welcome back and welcome home to you.
Yeah. You're listening, you're watching, you're being present is contributing to everything that comes forth. So we really, really want to acknowledge and thank you. And if you feel inclined to share with anyone that might benefit from the conversation, we would super appreciate and love that. That's how the word gets around. And so that would be amazing for us. We, as you may have heard, we've been in this industry for decades combined. And one of the things that we like to do is revisit, conversations that sometimes feel old, ancient, right? Like, because we were talking about them decades ago. And sometimes it's really wonderful to not only revisit the conversation because it's so powerful and potent, but also maybe folks haven't heard of some of this information because, it was big decades ago, and maybe it hasn't cycled through folks' awareness. So we thought we'd dive into the conversation of Dr. Masaru Emoto, Dr. Emoto.
Dr. Emoto.
Yeah, and so you can look up, if you just Google Dr. Emoto, you'll find all kinds of information, and you'll stumble across his website. And there's lots of stuff on YouTube too, so you can go and dig in deeper. But we thought for our purpose, we would just talk through some of the more common experiments that he did, because it's really, really informative. It's really, really enlightening. It's really, really wild to see how his experiments are really giving visibility into the energy, into the thoughts that we carry and produce and create as we go through our lives. One of his first experiments that we'll talk about is the rice experiment. And so this is a really great one because it's something that you can do at home for yourself and just see what happens, where you take 3 jars of cooked rice and you label them. So you label one as thank you. You label one as you fool. And then you have one where you ignore the rice jar altogether. And so lots of folks have done this. One of our mentors used to do this in groups. And it's just really fascinating because it's the one where you really get to see in front of your eyes how impactful words and intentions are. And in this experiment specifically, the thank you, of course, the rice remains the longest. The fool, you fool, it rots quickly. It starts to mold and rot quickly in front of you. And the one that rots the fastest is the one that's ignored, which is pretty fascinating because you always think about, the meanness, the destructive words to be, or hateful words to be more destructive, but it's actually ignoring, not paying attention to it. That is the most destructive.
As you're saying that, what's showing up for me is, how we've always heard, some people thrive on negative attention, so to speak. I don't like the word negative, but on that type of energy because it's better than none. That kind of says it right there, doesn't it? So at least even the one that said, you fool, it was getting some type of attention, right? So it's not an intention, attention, same thing, intention, attention. Well, isn't that fun? It's not the type of attention that we think would help us to grow, but it's some type of attention.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that.
You know how they say like the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference, right? So if someone hates you, that's a lot of energy and emotion coming your way,
Right,
right?
got
It's
it.
very big, it's powerful. Whereas indifference, there's nothing.
Mm, that's interesting. Yeah, I
Mm.
love that. I love how that's tying together right now in this 10 seconds. Cool. And so did they put the rice in the fridge or did they just leave it on the counter? Do you remember?
I don't know. I think it was on the counter.
Okay.
I think that would probably move it through quicker. I'd
Okay,
have
so
to
you're
look it
just
up.
putting some white rice that's cooked in a
Cooked, yeah,
jar and putting thank you on it. Like just write it on a piece of paper and tape it on. And then put you fool on another jar. And then on the next jar, you're just not doing anything with it. You're just letting it sit there. And that's the one that rotted the most. Wow.
exactly. Yeah.
Crazy. So
Ah,
so I love that because yeah, his experiments, like I first got introduced to his work back in the 90s. And so but what I'm noticing is a lot of people are starting to find his work now because hey, more and more people are becoming aware of energetics and stuff, so that this information, as you said, it might seem like an old conversation to many of us, and yet at the same time it's brand new and fresh to so many. Just like what's ooh la la for me today, somebody else might have been like, that's new for you. You know what I
exactly.
mean? I was teaching that 20 years ago. Oh, you get it when you get it, right?
Yeah, 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 and it's perfectly delivered to you in the right timing.
Hmm. And what I love about his work, so for those who want to check out his work online, his name is spelled Emoto, Dr. Emoto. And yeah, his studies show things like a bunch of people getting together and doing prayers, blessings, whatever you want to call that, over water that was highly polluted, like insanely polluted, right? And so, what Dr. Emoto would do is he would take a bottle, one that was clean and all the things, and make sure there was no, interference. And he would put water into this bottle and then freeze it. And then he would examine the shape of the crystals slash geometry, the shape that these crystals, the ice crystals, would take. And oh my God, like so many of his experiments are mind boggling. And so then when and so if I remember, one of the dams, I want to say it was the Fuji Dam, was nasty, like nasty. And there wasn't even crystals. You know how when I'm saying crystals, I'm like, you know how snowflakes all have their own individual ooh la la, right? It's kind of like that. Those are my words. He then again had people pray or do blessings, whatever you want to call that, over the water, and then he froze the water exact same way, exact same scenario. So there was no interference, nothing different. And the crystals that were showing were amazing. And so it isn't just our words though. It's also our the energy that we're being on the inside of things. And so this is such a fascinating place to play because we can do all the talk, but his work shows the physicality of the change and what we're creating on the inside. Because remember, I don't know how much water we as humans are made up as. I don't know. I've seen so many different numbers. So I just say, does anybody really know? And do I really actually care? I know I'm made up a lot of water. And so this is him doing experiments with water. And remember, we're made up of water, right? And so when we're giving thanks to ourselves and to others, or looking in the mirror and saying, you fool, it's all, what is that creating within us? That inner space, that energetics, what is all of that creating? And so his work is so good at literally showing us an actualization of that. And so the rice experiment that is something that, hey, yeah, the water experiment is great, but if you don't have that type of equipment to look at the difference between the crystals and all the things and the water, then the rice experiment, we all can do that. That is something that we all have access to, should we choose to. And yeah, so I love that. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so there's a lot of experiments he did, but for sure, like the prayer over polluted water. And then as you're mentioning, taking, the water and putting labels on it. So water with, labels like love and gratitude would have these beautiful symmetric crystals in the images, whereas hate and evil words would have really chaotic structures.
You know what? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no way.
In one of my classes, I hand his work around just to show them, and he's got one image, and it's on the bottle. So he would take water, distilled water, I believe, and again tape something on it or write something on the bottle, freeze it, look at the crystals that came out, and on one of the bottles, I think he had the words, "I hate you, I'm going to kill you." And it looks like brown sludge, like about Winnie, a little darker than the Winnie the Pooh brown, on my printout. And if when you look at it, oh my God! Like when you look at it, it's so clear that you can see what looks like a human with a club in their hand. What? It does. Like it's bizarre. And so then the "I love you," the, oh my God, like you said, the crystals are beautiful and they're symmetrical. So yeah. It's all of that, right? And so then he did like heavy metal music. He put it in front of heavy metal music and it was distorted like crazy. But then he did Beethoven and Mozart and all that kind of stuff. And it was like, oh my God, right? I think one of my favorites though. So this does not, here's how I've applied this in my life. Cause that's like, okay, that's cool. Yep. Nice. So I'm to avoid anything that's got heavy metal music going on. No, it's not that at all. It's more about how you show up in those scenarios, right? So how you're showing up in those scenarios. If I'm showing up of, oh my God, heavy metal music, I hate it, blah, and I'm trying to get away from it, that's going to be different than me showing up activated in the love that I truly know I truly be and showing up in the world that way. The stuff that I'm walking into, the environments I'm walking into are not going to have that impact. They're just not. And so the proof of that, well, can I use that word? Yeah, because it's for me. Yeah, the proof for me in that was when he did an experiment where he did his bottle of water, put it in front of a microwave. And oh my goodness, it was distorted, right? But then he did the same test, but put the word love on the bottle in front of the microwave. And there was almost no distortions in the crystal. So it's always about how am I showing up in the world? Yes, there's a lot of noise in the world. If I can show up in the world with the love that is within me, the divine, whatever you want to call it, activated, oh my God, that stuff isn't going to have near the impact on me. It just can't because I'm stronger than all of it. And so that's how I've applied his work. Yeah. What say you, Miss Veronica?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's really cool idea too, right? To think about, like, we're always drinking out of water bottles, like what it would be like to just label your water bottle too, right? With some of the high frequency. What his findings were that the two words that created the most beautiful crystals were love and gratitude.
Mm.
And so, interesting, because we always talk about that, right? Accessing the love, accessing the heart energy, the gratitude. And so again, It's an interesting question too, though, about how there's this idea of just saying the affirmations, just saying the words, and not actually getting into the feeling, right? And sometimes maybe all we can do is say the words and we can't access the feeling. So you and I talk a lot about really getting into the energy and the feeling of, the gratitude and the love. And sometimes we just can't get there. And so the words alone can have an effect. They can start the movement into the feelings if we're conscious about them.
Mm.
The other thing that he analyzed was holy water versus tap water. So sacred sites like Mecca, like the water there when it was blessed, it formed really unique and complex crystals. So it really speaks to some of the ways in which through different religions you create that sacredness. And you see that in different religions where there is a component of having holy water. And it's interesting when you go back, obviously his research was done thousands of years after these, I guess, practices were initially put into place, but there was maybe an ancient knowledge back then about how important that was.
Mm. I love
Um,
that. And you know what? We can all create holy water. We can. And so, how I create holy water and how we can all create holy water if you wanted to is you just pour your glass of water and just think about something that you really, really like or love. So you think about it, you bring it into your awareness. And again, we've talked about this, and this is the same way that we get into the energy of being love. So there's the word, and then there's being it. And so you could use that technique to also bless your water. Right. And so it could be, okay, so as a quickie reference point, because I know we've done that in our episodes, as a quick reference point, it's about, okay, bring into your awareness something that when you bring it into your awareness, oh my God, it just activates that feeling of love, that energy of love. Now, listen, I've had people say, oh, I can't think of anything. And it's like, well, then think of your favorite food. Doesn't matter what the thing is. You're just using something outside of you to activate that which is within you. So it could be, oh my God, I love a good hamburger. And then you let yourself go there of what it feels like, or maybe it's the sun on your face, or your feet in the sand, or the love you have for another person. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what the it is. You're using something as a tool to activate that which is within you. And so, yeah, to my point. So once you've got something like that activated, hold your hands. Just kind of hold your hands. You can even bless it with your eyes just by not like, you could do that, but more, no, sorry. For those who are on podcast and not watching, it's like, yeah, you can just have a soft glancing at something. So you could be at a restaurant, you could be anywhere, and just kind of soft glance. If you're not and if you're not somebody who wants to put your hands over your food, a few inches above your food to bless your food that way. But yeah, we can make our own holy water with soft eye gaze, right? Just bringing into our awareness something that when we bring it into our awareness, oh my God, there's just so much love there. Could be an experience you had when you were a kid. It doesn't matter what the it is, right? And so I'm looking at my water with the soft eyes, or placing my hands over it with the intention of purifying it or blessing it or holy water, whatever, right? And then you've got your own holy water. Then you drink that. But yeah, the water jug sitting in your fridge or on your counter, why not tape some words onto that bad boy or bad girl, right? Why not tape something on that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I also love how his experiments really bring to light how everything is alive, right? The rice, the water, like there's consciousness in everything. And
Yeah.
so to be walking through the world with that awareness as well, in reflection of his experiments, as you see bodies of water, as you walk by nature, as you like that consciousness and that interaction, that communication that can happen between us and everything, it brings to life. right? And like really, really activating that energy through words or through, like the catalyst that Kim was talking about. It really can change how you live life, going through life with that awareness.
Yeah. You know, I was at a winery back in the days when I used to actually enjoy wine or drink wine. And I was at a winery and I was there for a 5-day retreat, but it was on a winery property. It was gorgeous in Texas. And the facilitator was talking about exactly what we're talking about pretty much. And so what she did is she got everybody to have two, sips of wine in front of them, two different glasses. So you could do this with water, you can do this with your food, you can do it with anything. And she would get us to hold our hands over the wine. And pretty much that was it, just holding our hands over the wine and asking it to be what would contribute most to your body. So I had my glasses, somebody else had theirs, and la, 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 right? So we only did that to one glass. And then we would taste the glass we didn't do it to, and then taste the glass we did. Oh my God. It was amazing, the difference. Now, mine would be different than yours because what will contribute, what my body likes, is going to be different than what your body likes. It was amazing. It was so amazing that she actually took it to the sommelier. And she was like, you got to try this. Because she had never done it with wine before. She had done it with water. But again, we were at a winery. So she said, hey, let's try this. So yeah, so what if we were to actually do that with our food? It's just a blessing. I shouldn't say the word just. Let's get rid of the word just. I'm trying to, my thing is to eliminate the word just from my vocabulary everywhere. Because it seems to minimalize things. Anyway, so yeah, so what if we did that with our food, with our supplements, with everything? Offer it a blessing and inviting it to contribute to my body in the way that my body can receive it the most. Wow, it was so, like, try the wine thing sometime. It's
I love
crazy.
it. I love
Oh
it.
my
That's
God.
amazing.
Right? And yours will
Yeah,
taste different than your friends.
that's wild.
I
I love
know.
it.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that. A wine
Do
tasting
it.
party.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it makes me think too, like my husband is like, for almost anybody I know, they'll say he's the best cook that they know. Like he's such a good cook, but he loves it so much. And so people will come over and they'll be like, this is the best food I've ever eaten. And they'll ask for ingredients and they can never recreate what he produces because he loves it. He's got so much passion for it. So it's an interesting, right? Like that creates the experience and the flavor. And why can't we do that for ourselves? I love what you brought forward there.
Yeah, and it's so simple. Like I said, if you're at a restaurant, you don't know what kind of mood the chef is in back there, right? They could be fighting with their spouse and hating life,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And because life is life. We're all being human is messy. Right. And so when my food comes, what if I was just soft gaze at it or put my hands over? I'm okay to look like the weirdo in the restaurant, and put my hands over it. And right. Right. And I mean, it's not like you're sitting there for 10 minutes. It's a soft gaze or your hands gently over. It's whatever you're comfortable with. And it literally takes moments. And if you're like, I don't know if I'm doing anything, you're just questioning you. Right? Oh, when do I know when to stop? When you're done. Right? And so it could take 30 seconds or 10 seconds. If I'm getting the thought of, okay, that's enough, I'm done. Or I'm bored, I'm done. Whatever it is, however it shows up, you just follow that. And remember, things like this, you cannot do it wrong. You just can't. Right. And so, yeah, it's really a fun thing to play with and show your kids, get your kids involved in the rice experiment just for fun, because it is something physical. It's an actualization right in front of our eyes. Right. Whereas the water, with the crystals and frozen, unless you have the equipment to be able to look at the crystals under the microscope, but or even just go on Dr. Emoto's site and have a peek there and show, you know, the difference between heavy metal music and Beethoven. And remember, doesn't matter what's going on in the environment, it's how you show up.
I love this conversation. I'm going to do it with my daughter.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's a great idea.
I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, I will share.
Well, you know what? It kind of reminds me of that conversation that you had with her, that when she was upset, right? And you said, you know, do you want to stay upset? And she was like, yep. Right? When she was mad at your husband. Yeah. And so that wasn't making anything wrong. That was being that environment of love. Oh, there goes one of my lights. Thank you. That was being the environment of love with no matter what.
Yes, exactly. Right?
And and you know what? On that note, though, it is a practice.
It is.
It is a practice. It's a practice. And, you know, I don't know which episode we talked about how to, you know, just as we were talking here, on your way to bed at night, bring something into your awareness that when you bring it into your awareness, oh my God, it activates that love that is within you. It could be an experience you had yesterday, an experience you had when you were a kid, your favorite teddy bear, your favorite cat, whatever it was. Use something outside of you to activate the love that is within you. And then I find, and I'm sure you do too, Veronica, after a while, you don't even need to use something to activate it within you. You just become it and you can tap into it pretty easy. But it is a practice. It's not a one and done.
Exactly. Try it for 21 days.
Yes. Oh my God. Yeah. Because what is that 21 day thing? It takes 21 days to change
create a habit,
create a habit and to actually change things on a cellular level or on a DNA. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I
love you so much. I love you. Thank you, Kim. Thanks, everyone. Share, like, subscribe, comment. We will receive all of it. Thank you. Until next time.
Do all the things.